I'm Ian Hansen, and this is Intuitive Medium and Spiritual Advisor Brenda Burgett. Welcome to Bridging the Gap. You may ask yourself, what's up with Saran Wrap? How come I can't get it to work? We're going to answer, no, that's not actually it. You may ask yourself, what am I doing as far as this is concerned? And Brenda, you were doing this too, and I think it's kind of fun for us to share this little portion of Bridging the Gap behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Before every single episode of the program, we do something that unfortunately has caught on as being known as fluffing, but we're fluffing the energy around us, and this is a literal technique that
it is.
You can learn how to do. What are we doing when we do this?
We're just gathering the energy around us. It's a protection, it's a reassurance, it's Bird going to the bathroom upstairs.
I don't think that got on the tape, so don't worry about it. So.
Now he's going to flush.
We're downstairs at Louis Vincenzi's. It was the only place they'd let us film. And there's a line to the bathroom tonight the size of a conga boat going to the Bahamas where everybody's got rum. So he's just going to have to deal with the noises. It was funny how when you said we were actually doing that. Are we keeping this? Or Shuffy says we're keeping this. This is good stuff. He likes this stuff.
It's really hard to get this.
Pirates of the Caribbean, the last flush. So anyway, we were discussing the fluffing. You're gathering energy when you're doing this.
Yes, we are. We're gathering energy, and it's just a reassuring thing.
Okay, is it literally the pulling in of energy that's around you, Brenda, or is it just a metaphorical stance, if you will, to say that there is energy around me all the time, and this is how I'm going to remember that I can bring it to myself closer? We all do it a little differently. You'll notice I do kind of the bucket shovel here, and she actually does the hunting and gathering, the picking of berries, you know that. So everybody does it different.
And if you were to have to repeat that again, you wouldn't be able to say it. So if that works for you, that's good. What am I doing? I'm just fluffing my own energy.
Okay, good. So it's like something from the dryer. We fluff our energy before every program. And this is something that you can do for yourself before you go into a board meeting, if you have to have a confrontation with the babysitter about why there's so much peanut butter missing, etc., etc. These are things you can do ahead of time, right? I don't know where that came from.
I recommend you don't do it just everywhere, but find a quiet closet to get in. Start fluffing.
You know, finding a quiet closet is so difficult in the 21st century, especially in a metropolitan area. They're so full of skeletons and other things. So, Brenda, on this edition of Bridging the Gap, we're going to do something special. And it's not really anything special because we do it on every edition of the program. Conga line number 2 has just gone, so we're good. We're going to have to talk to him about that? Or?
I guess, you know.
I'm anxious to know if that finds
we
its
had
way
to turn his air conditioning off. Now he can't go to the bathroom when he needs to. What's next?
Oh, up Periscope. Sometimes I wonder why we're doing this, and now I know exactly why. On this edition of the program, it is an all questions episode of Bridging the Gap. So today we are doing nothing but bridging the gap between the questions you have sent in for psychic medium Brenda Burgett and the answers that not only she will advise you on, but will come to you, because that's how it works, Brenda, right?
It does.
You're getting your own answers, and if you don't understand that, Brenda, explain real quickly for folks that are not in tune with maybe how an intuitive medium works to give someone their own answers.
Someone that you trust to be in this inner circle will never tell you what to do. They will say what's coming through and they don't come to conclusions normally, and what you hear will trigger what's going on in your own mind.
I must say they're perfectly timed, so we're going to have to tip Berg after this is all done.
What's he doing?
No one should ever be an advisor of anything but giving you your own answers. That'd be the one thing that we would say. Again, there's no necessarily there's no rules for any of this. You know, there's not a handbook for being an intuitive, Brenda. We tried to present that to folks a few episodes back, and you can watch it. I believe it was episode 6 of Bridging the Gap where we did that. But that's one of the rules to look out for in case you, again, seek the counsel of someone like yourself, that you shouldn't ever be given advice, do this, do that. You should be looking for your own answers to come through, because that's how anything like this works. Whether you're reading tea leaves or the tarot, you're going to get your own answers. And if you don't really want to know the answer, I know, convenient excuse for you debunkers out there, but you don't get them.
Exactly.
Okay, so I think we're on the same page, and now we can start getting you these questions that folks want to get their own answers to. So You ready, Brenda?
I'm ready.
Got some real good ones in here too, so keep these coming in. This is really the linchpin of the program in addition to what these lead to us talking about here on Bridging the Gap. We want to be able to help you find your own answers and eventually get in touch with your own intuitive side so that you don't need us anymore, but you come back because you like us so darn much. So here's question number 1.
Okay.
We have not tackled this one yet, and this is right from Stephen King's short storyville. I think it's great. Brenda, I wonder if you believe that people can fix inanimate objects by your thoughts or maybe by energies that are around us. My partner says she does it all the time. Well, of course, she fixes it and you couldn't, you wise guy. I have not tried it, but I am curious to know what you think about it. By the way, what's going on with your radio show? I will address that portion of the questioning, and you can deal with our lawnmower man question here, which is, the car is broken. The garbage disposal is making a funny sound. My refrigerator, by the way, has got a ghost in it like you would not believe, that's driving me nuts. So, can we fix these specters in the machinery, or what's going on there?
Everything is energy. We create energy. We can create our own energy. If something breaks, I have absolutely fixed things with cars. Not computers, because they hate me.
Computers.
Because I give them that power over me.
Computer technology, though, Brenda, and intuitive or spiritual energy, kind of, they're like oil and water to an extent, aren't they?
They seem to be in my case.
In your case.
Someone finally said put a little bit of water or some fluid next to you when you're working on them. But the energy will just about blow them up sometimes.
I have seen her, and this is the honest to goodness truth, I have seen Brenda Burgett crash computer systems. I have seen microphones fuzz out and then suddenly come back on. A lot of anomalies that have happened actually since we started working together as far as the technical aspects of things. So you cannot rebuild a transmission with spirituality or with energy, or can you?
When you have something mechanical going wrong, you can say, I want you to fix yourself. I want you to drive. Don't start pleading necessarily or saying, because you know I need this and I feel like I'm entitled to this. Change the energy around it, and oftentimes you'll see things fixed. Now, sometimes that transmission goes out for a reason. Sometimes that transmission goes out, stops your car, and saves you from something down the road. So, is it always going to work? No. But my washing machine is still working, because I'd much rather buy an airline ticket than a new washer.
Well, who wouldn't?
So yes, it does work. It definitely does work. If you believe it'll work and you change the energy, and if it isn't working and you've asked it to fix itself, there is probably another reason that it's not. So accept it and go on.
I'm picturing the Maytag man with a big crystal like sticking out somewhere, and all these beads and typical garb you'd expect from some person that would be able to, some Yoda that would be able to move things around, or telekinesis. But honestly, machinery, again, is energy, just like we are. Everything is, after all, made of the same stuff. Even those big things in the sky that we say are so much bigger than we are. Remember, it's all made of the same thing, so we can change it. Now, again, are you necessarily going to be able to fix everything by doing this? Maybe, maybe not, but giving it a try wouldn't hurt. And I know that, like I said, my fridge, on the fritz, like you wouldn't believe right now, has the strangest problem going with it, and I should try this myself, because I actually haven't thought to do that. So, it's a great question.
And, there's mechanical things that do go wrong. But mechanical things are energy. Why can't we change it?
Good question.
I think we can.
I think we probably can too.
I've done it.
Well, you've done it, that's right.
And the times when it absolutely will not happen, I finally accept as, okay, that's the way it's supposed to be, and maybe I'll know someday, or maybe I never will.
You alluded to this, let's go there. and that would be what I'll coin just on the fly as divine mechanical intervention. And the purveyors of the Yugo in the 1980s were the first to bring this to the forefront, because my sister had one of those in those cars. It had a plastic engine. So you talk about saving you from a lot of potential wrecks. It was breaking down every other day. So it was a wonderful invention for this discussion, at least. So Brenda, what about that? Because I think we have all encountered times where we've had something go wrong with the car, or we've been sidetracked. And I have a family member, aside from my sister actually, who just encountered something on a recent vacation where the car was giving them fits, didn't know what was wrong, got it to a dealership. They don't know what's wrong either, but it magically got fixed. Oh, by the way, your brakes are at like 2%. And had you gone any further onto that vacation road, you'd have been in serious danger with all of his children in the car. So there it is right there.
There it is. There it is.
Okay. So what's the significance of that? Can we expect that to save us? We already know, for example, the brakes are at 2%, or we already know that the front tires are bald on our car. Tires are more expensive than they used to be, by the way, so give me a break on that one. We know these things already. They're in evidence, Brenda. Can we expect, or should we expect, whatever's guiding us that loves us so much to save us? We got to change those tires, don't we, in that instance?
Absolutely. Also, that doesn't mean park your brain and go around with a wooey crystal ball all the time, because that's not why we're here either. There is energy that will step in and save us. Does it always? It's not always supposed to.
This segment of Bridging the Gap brought to you by Wooey Crystal Ball. When you are looking for crystal balls, think of Wooey. 2 packs available, along with giant ones from Costco. So.
It's a woogie, actually. Not wooey.
I like Wooey.
I know, but it's woogie.
Barbara Walters, her whole life, heard the song Wooey. So we now know exactly what she was hearing, at least. So. All right. It's a great question. And again, if you've got questions that are similar, or if you have, if there's some way you're thinking of, you're watching Bridging the Gap, you're listening to it, and you're saying, this is all great, and I get it on this side of the fence, but it just doesn't seem to fit with all these other things I keep thinking of. Boy, that's a great time to ask, because we can address them. And I think this was one of those. So.
Absolutely. I had a friend once who was, his stepson was very ill, and he said, I'm a good Christian. God should be able to heal this boy, and I'll save $20. That's what he said.
I'll save $20?
I'll save $20. I won't take him to the doctor.
Yikes.
This is real.
He hasn't been to the doctor in a while, about as long as I haven't bought tires
this
either.
Is an old story.
Okay. Is it that old?
Old Lithuanian fellow sitting there.
She zaps me every time I touch her.
There you go.
Okay, so he says this.
He said, God, I ask you, I beseech you, because I am who I am in this, I believe that you heal my son. Didn't happen. And he was so disappointed. And it was like, he got to thinking about it a little bit later, and he thought, I had the money to seek professional help for this son. And I was just putting God's source energy to attest that he doesn't have to prove anything to anyone, or she. So it was like, go to the doctor, take advantage of the physician, definitely go to a mechanic. You find yourself in a situation where you need some help. Will you please fix my car? I need to get out of this area and into another. Is it going to happen? My guess is it probably will.
Well, like a rabid wallaby, this is bounding into territory where I didn't really want to go today, but this seems to be what happens. We are going to deal with this subject, though, Brenda, because seriously, we've seen some stories in the news about people whose religious beliefs center around not seeking medicinal practices of the modern day for their children. Their children die. They have been put up for execution in some states for killing their children because of that. And that's a heavy subject that we'll deal with at another time. But
Or not.
Well, as it links up, though, Brenda,
Maybe we will.
Well,
The thing of it is, there's so many of these things that can just become an argument. It's like a political discussion. It's like my belief and your belief. And when we get into that, I can have all the beliefs in the world, but for those particular people living what they live, we weren't there, we don't know. So we probably shouldn't look at that in any way other than it's a decision they made, and if there's consequences, that's what they're going to say. They'll be dealing with them. I have one person in particular that likes to say, well, prove it to me. Show me the answer to this.
I know that person.
And I'm saying, not my job. So maybe on some of these questions, even though it would be an interesting discussion, I get told right away, not my job.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, whether it's, again, the riding lawnmower or a member of the family, energy is there, and it certainly can be harnessed and used. How? Not necessarily always knowable, and that might be linked more to your own answer. And again, this might be where your belief in common sense perhaps bleeds in, if we can call it common sense, or your belief in things that are more practical bleeds in more than ever. Because Brenda, I don't know, I think if you're fully, truly gone and you believe it, and there isn't an ounce of doubt in you, anything is possible. But
Absolutely.
I think, and I hate to call it doubt, but if there's an ounce of something else there, then it also will be given credence. It also will be given weight on those scales.
I think so. And it's almost like a prove it to me thing sometimes with people. And
Definitely.
I don't, even though I tell you I do, I don't always have all the answers.
Well, we'll start with that Yugo and see if it can actually make like a 300-mile round trip to the beach and back without breaking down or something.
Probably not.
Plastic engine, ladies and gentlemen, I swear, I saw it myself. I saw a flame shoot out of a Yugo several times too. It was the craziest thing. All right, Brenda, that's question number one. This is an all questions edition, by the way, of Bridging the Gap. You can get your questions to Brenda Burgett if you'd like to, Intuitive Media Spiritual Advisor. You do that through our website. It's bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com. Same website. A different way to get there would be bridgingthegaptv.com, and YouTube, as I'm getting the nod from Shafi on all these being correct, that would be Bridging the Gap on TV. That's our YouTube channel. So get questions to Brenda. She loves to address them, and I quite frankly love everything that comes out because then we can talk about it. You ready for question two?
I'm ready.
All right. Question number two says, I have just been diagnosed with phase 4 cancer. So this is going to tie in a very serious manner to what we were just talking about, perhaps. I'm still numb with the choices the doctors have given me. I have a friend who has cured with alternative methods in the past. I am terrified, but I also don't want to destroy my body with chemotherapy to live maybe just a few more months. What do the energies say to me?
Well, we say to you first, we're not doctors, and always, always go with what you feel is right. If you don't feel comfortable with chemotherapy, there are other means of treating this disease. There's always something more with cancer, and practically any disease that you can come up with. Why is it there in the first place? Well, it's cancer is in part of our bodies all the time. When we become weakened by one thing or another, life, food that we eat, environment, then that gives it a chance to grow. And there is a line of thinking that says your body will heal itself. Every cell is capable of healing itself when given the right material, energy, whatever. When you hear cancer, it has to be terrifying. It just has to be. If it sounds like the end to you, it very well could be. Ask, pray, do whatever. Just let your guides tell you, and they're saying to me, there is actually tumors in the other breast as well. And that it might possibly be missed because of some fibrous tumors. Get a total ultrasound on both and don't just treat one. I don't know where that's coming from, but I would definitely recommend you get it checked. Also, there is a potential for cancer in your uterus. You need to go have that checked. Don't let them just do a partial thing here. Make some decisions on your own. Don't be hurried. If it's phase 4, that's very scary. But back off and think about this before you do anything. But make sure you get all the tests. And they're not giving you all the tests.
All right. And as far as seeking alternative treatments?
Very, very difficult because you have to be committed. I just talked to a friend yesterday, and there's all kinds of things out there that work. But you have to be dedicated. You almost need someone to be your advocate and say, okay, I'm going to investigate all this. I'm going to see what's real and what isn't. There's a lot of things that are just shams and don't work at all. But there are genuine alternative treatments that work. It's very difficult. You have to know, and without a shred of a doubt, that you don't want to go the medical way and dig into it and get some help the other way. I don't know that any way is right or wrong on this. It's just a very personal thing.
You know what we could do, I think, with this, Brenda, is talk to a broader audience, and certainly this person, who again will send all the best energies that we can possibly conjure to, in hopes that they'll get their own answer and surround themselves with the correct energy, so that if they are meant to be with us for longer, they will be. I think cancer or any disease, Brenda, that might take away our physical body, that might lead to its death, its demise, is probably one of the most isolating feelings that a person could ever go through. No matter how much support, or no matter how many friends or what kind of family you have. And the reason why is because their lives, no matter how often they are there for you, persist. They go on and you are dying. You get the feeling as though your physical body is in fact dying, and no one really can appreciate that. No one can stop, and the world may seem cruel to a person who does not have any support lines, or very few, because you really will get the feeling that, hey, I have 6 months to live, 12 months to live, and the world isn't stopping. No one is doing anything. That has to be one of the biggest roadblocks a person can encounter. So how do we get over that?
Okay, I'm going to say something that probably may seem inappropriate to a lot of people at this point. Death is not going away forever, and it's a physical body leaving. It means you're going into a perfect alignment and going to where you came from to begin with. So if you can deal with the word and realize it's just another part of what's going on, that's where we're all going to be. Get past the fear. Death and fear are almost buddies. You know, they are together.
Which isn't necessary, and again, that's one of the things I think as we evolve, Brenda, spiritually, we will change. We'll change our attitude about the dying of this physical form. But for now, talking about, again, what I try to just frame up, you know, that fear is there. And
it's definitely there. And it is a lonely, lonely thing. Who was it that said, hopefully when you reach the end of your life, you always hope that when you're born, people will be, they're all happy and you're crying. And when you leave, they're crying and you're happy. So it's just a changing of forms. And is it scary? Absolutely, it's scary. I don't like losing my friends and my family to this dreaded, damnable disease. There's just no excuse for it. You know, in my mind, we need to get on with it and take care of that. That's personal.
Yeah.
But cancer, Parkinson's, any debilitating disease takes and steals our life from us if we allow it to. Look at it in a different way, figure it out. It's your journey, it's a very private, and it can be a very lonely journey. But there are great things that can come of it.
And again, I think we almost go back to the lawnmower and the Yugo and the refrigerator, energy. We are all made of energy. Those cancer cells that are in you that may be thriving and may be metastasizing and may be growing, and they're giving you less and less time and worse prognosis, they're energy too.
Yes.
And so all of it is mutable. again, it's you don't want to give anybody any advice, but at the same time, I think what you said really pins it down the best, Brenda, which is instead of saying, well, seek medical treatment right away or do this or do that, go where you're comfortable.
Exactly.
Go where your feelings work.
We had my cousin on a radio show.
Yes.
And she has survived 3, what she calls death sentences. 2 of them were cancer.
Very serious illnesses.
And she just simply said, I wasn't ready. Did the alternative, and she and I are going to try to figure out how to find grass skirts and head for Hawaii here as soon as possible.
And they are taking me, even if it has to be in the stowaway compartment, that's for sure.
We will take Ian with us if we just have to learn his place, carrying the baggage.
Grass skirt for me too. Large, after all, I should probably be properly covered.
Large, tall, I'll have large, petite.
I'll have large, petite too.
No.
But just next to me on the plane the whole way over. So, all right, Brenda, you ready for one last question?
Yes.
We're getting this from Shuffy.
We are.
He just screams at his hostage.
It's a good thing he's cute, or we would not allow it.
That's for you to determine. I don't think he's all that. Well, a little.
He's a cutie.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll put him on camera one of these days. Well, actually, we'll put him on camera, and then we'll do that thing that you can do in Photoshop where he becomes a coloring book, and we'll have a contest for all you kids out there. Well, anybody can participate, I guess, but then you can color him in and see, how he should look. That should be fun. So,
That should be.
Color Shuffy, we're going to call it. So, Brenda, last question comes in on this All Questions edition of Bridging the Gap and goes as follows. I have a mate who has abused herself with alcohol and drugs, and now she is in her early 70s, and her life is a complete mess, which translates into my life also being a complete mess. I'm resentful and angry with her a lot of the time over this. I am stuck, and I feel because of our ages, there's no way out. It is so unfair that I would have to deal with her issues for the rest of either my life or her own. Do I have any choices? Am I really stuck? And I am so disgusted and mad. Where is the fairness in all of this? That's a lot to digest. But
Lose the word fair. It's a 4-letter word. Anger, very legitimate feeling. Disgust, very familiar. I have lots of people I know with this. Could be the same question. What are you looking at? You're looking at a situation that you are in, you chose to be in. It's their life, they're dealing with it, but yet you suffer the consequences. And is it wrong to leave them? It's only wrong to leave them if you feel like it is. What they're saying is this person's contract is not very long.
And by contract, you mean the remainder of their physical life.
And I never really say how long or anything like that. But this is a time that could be very rewarding. You have things to remember from this. Are you trapped? Only if you feel like you're trapped. Are you stuck? Obviously you think you are, so you are. Change the reality of it. Change the way it is, and you're no longer stuck.
Okay, Brenda, again, I can hear this person almost echoing in my head saying, all right, how do I do that? Because when you get stuck, Brenda, and you know this because you get stuck, I get stuck, we all get stuck. It's part of being
certainly.
human. It's part of what we have to sort out in order to remember why we're here.
Right.
So could you offer this individual any nuggets at all about making things a little less sticky?
Everybody, this is done with different personalities, different people. This person likes sticky, this person likes routine, this person likes order, and there is none in her, is it a her or him?
It's a him who's asking.
In his life right now. There is none of that. What's the universe telling you? This order and preciseness that you thrive on or you think you need, you don't have right now. Is there something to be learned by that? Can you function without it? Is it really all that important? How important is the dotted and the cross? If it is, then you do it. But maybe it's a time they're saying that there's a very definite thing to be remembered here in that you don't have to have any control over anyone except yourself. and this person has never felt like they've had it. So they pick their partner, their parents, and they get right down to the end and they find they're right there now. What is this? Take back your power.
To me, it would seem as though the stuck is really revolving more around the fact that this person is trying to take on someone else's choices.
Exactly.
They're choosing to be stuck in choices someone else has made. Now, this could be a spouse of, I would guess, probably 30 or 40 years in this case.
Could be.
You know, so it's someone you've known a long time, perhaps, but at the same time, they are making their choices autonomously from you as a spouse, as a couple. So the feeling of being unstuck might be relieved by leaving the house, by going out with your friends, by taking a trip to Jamaica by yourself and leaving the drunk at home. But you don't because you're stuck, because you say, I'm responsible.
I'm responsible for this. Are you responsible? Only if you think you are.
Yeah.
Are you a really bad person when you say, I've had it, I'm out of here? Do you feel like a bad person? Then you are. If you don't, you're not. It is or it isn't. It is what it is, and you choose that.
And think of it this way. If you were to think of yourself as not a bad person for wanting to escape this, for wanting to completely leave it and say, that's it, I'm out of here, I'm moving, I've had it with this, might be all that it takes to actually awaken that other person to the reality that they're in. You never know how those things are going to go, Brenda, so again, don't own that, but you don't know how your behavior will perhaps positively affect someone else.
Exactly.
Because you have thought of yourself and put yourself first.
Exactly. And if their behavior changes, does that change anything in you? Doesn't have to.
Yeah. Good stuff.
No right, no wrong here.
No, not at all. And no judgment calls. We're all getting through this together, and it's a big giant world, and there's people doing all kinds of crazy stuff out there. Shuffy knows all about it. He looks it up on the internet day and night. You should see some of this stuff anyway. Brenda Burgett is here to answer your questions. She's intuitive medium and spiritual advisor. Brenda Burgett, I'm your host for the program, Ian Hansen, and this is Bridging the Gap, and this has been an all questions edition of Bridging the Gap. Brenda, we'd love to do more of these, so the way that happens is you keep getting Brenda questions. Do that through the website. It's bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com. You can also find the same website by going to bridgingthegaptv.com, and on YouTube it's Bridging the Gap on TV. Yes, yes. Yes, I got it right this week, and Shuffy can not give me any more flicks with the rubber band for getting it wrong like I did in episode 6 or 7 or whatever that
You guys
was.
have just got to stop bickering and fighting.
But we love to bicker.
I know.
Okay, well good. Bickery, doc. This edition is over. Tick-tock. It's time to go. Brenda, thanks for the time as always. We'll look forward to the next go-around. You know what the next go-around is for Bridging the Gap on TV? It's episode 10, our first milestone.
Goodness.
We'll have cake. I can't wait.
I'm not baking it.
No, we wouldn't want that actually, because I might not make it through another episode if I were to eat any of it. You're not exactly known for your cooking, so.
I'm not.
Or baking, for that matter.
No, or cleaning.
For Brenda Burgett, I'm Ian Hansen. For Shuffy, who's behind the camera, we'll say goodbye for him too. Until the next time you're on Bridging the Gap, folks, enjoy your existence. We'll see you soon.